Alright guys, so in this video I'm just going to be going over why I think health insurance is one of the best opportunities to get into. More specifically within health insurance, I'm going to be focusing on Medicare. I guess more specifically with Medicare, I'm going to be focusing on Medicare Advantage. So I currently run a health insurance agency where we do focus on selling Medicare products, Medicare Supplement, Medicare Advantage, as well as other ancillary products like hospital indemnities, cancer, heart attack, and stroke, home health care. And we are dipping our toes a little bit into things like final expense. So, overall, mainly focused on Medicare, and that's the opportunity that I want to highlight for you guys. Whether you're already in sales or in the health insurance space, I think it's a great opportunity just because it's extremely low barrier to entry and it doesn't I mean, there's skill to it, but me, in my opinion, it doesn't take a whole lot of skill to get good in this industry, and there really is an unlimited earning potential when it comes to it, and we'll take a look at to why that is. So over here, it's quite a bit going on, but we do have a like a comp grid, and you'll see over here total payment $347, true up $694, and renewal $28.90. So what does all of this mean? If you take a look over here, you'll see that it's broken down by effective dates, and the way that Medicare Advantage policies work is that they take effect on the first of every single month. So right now it's March 23rd. If I write a policy today in March, I'm writing for a April 1st effective, which you can see on this chart over here is worth $260.30. So that's the way that Medicare works. The commission is prorated, but the total worth of the commission is $347. That's the total worth of a Medicare Advantage policy in 2026. This is subject to change every single year. So yeah, a true up simply means someone that is turning 65 or brand new to Medicare. If it's their first time on a Medicare Advantage policy, you would get paid a true up. And a true up is $694. You get paid this no matter what time of the year that it is. So I could sell someone who's turning 65 in August and get paid $694, or sell them in March and get paid $694. So this is really like the golden lead is the T65s because of how much you get paid. And they're just a more higher intent client because this is somebody who you're essentially introducing into Medicare. And if you do it correctly, this is a client this should be a client for life. Now, one of the most attractive things about the Medicare space, which I think is what separates it from a lot of other industries, is the renewal. So $28.90, that is the renewal that you will get per policy on a monthly basis. And it's level set. It doesn't go down year 2 or year 3 or year 4. If you have a client that stays on the policy for that long, you will maintain a level set renewal. So what does all of this mean? What does the opportunity really look like? What does the earning potential really look like? Well, over here, we have kind of like a mock-up. These are just solely projections, and you'll see over here in this area, it says that this does not factor in chargebacks or lead expense. Two of the main things that will affect your earning. Chargebacks, we all should be familiar with what chargebacks are. I sell a policy today, 2 months from now, that person cancels or switches to a different policy, I'm going to get a chargeback. Now with Medicare, you're not going to get the full chargeback unless it's a rapid disenrollment. But if you're outside of that rapid disenrollment window, like let's say I sell somebody on a January 1st effective policy and they disenroll sometime, let's just say in September, I'm not going to get charged back that full $347. I would get charged back the prorated amount. So, and then once you're out of 12-month window, once you're out of that year, you're no longer eligible for chargeback, or you're safe from it. So that's something to keep in mind when we're looking at these projections. We're not factoring chargebacks, and then the other thing is we're not factoring lead expense. So depending on what the lead source is, it could be more expensive, it could be less expensive. If you're doing telesales, generally I would say like you can find leads for 16, 18, $20. I've seen people pay $50 for there. We could get into the weeds about it. There's a whole bunch of different factors that go into it. If you're doing field business, obviously this is less expensive. However, you could be putting up money for marketing, but the main thing that you're doing with field business is putting in time, showing up to these different pharmacies, doctor groups, events in your community, tabletops, all these different things. It's more so a time effort than it is just putting up money. But with the field, once you start putting in enough time and you're starting to get leads coming in, you essentially have a $0 lead pipeline. So it's really good, but that's more so time. So it's really good, but it's a heavy time commitment, and you will see the returns. It could be a year from now, it could be 2 years from now. Really just depends on how consistent and how how active you are in the field. Whereas if you're just gonna do telesales, which it could be an outbound list, it could be inbound leads, whatever it is, you're gonna have to put money up front, but in return, you're gonna have volume coming in. So a whole lot of different ways to go about lead expense. That's kind of why I didn't put it in here. But we'll just go based off of what we have here in the charts. Agent payout based on 70% effectuation. So what do I mean by this? I submit 10 policies in March, and out of those 10 policies with an April 1st effective date, let's say 8 of them actually go into effect. So in that scenario, if I submit 10 policies and 8 actually go into effect, I have an 80% accretion rate or effectuation rate, whatever you want to call it. So this is one thing that agents really need to consider, because whatever you submit is not what you're getting paid out on. You're going to submit X amount of policies. A certain amount of them are actually going to go into effect. And then you got to think, okay, out of those that are actually going into effect, how many of those policies are actually going to stay on my books for the following year? And then you got to think about chargebacks, all this stuff. So that's why the gross revenue projected here, obviously it can be a lot lower, it can be a lot more when you take all that stuff into effect or into account. Another thing too, when you are a street agent, so this is a street level comp, obviously you're getting paid directly from the insurance carriers, you get the renewal, you own your book of business, you are on the carrier's pay schedule. So if I submit a policy today, March 23rd, sometimes depending on the insurance carrier, it could take 3 to 4 weeks for you to get paid out on that specific policy. So depending on when you get started in health insurance, it may be one of those things where year 1 and potentially even year 2, you're not really seeing much of an upside from it. However, again, one of the main things about Medicare is that when you can stick it through year 1 and year 2, and your book of business begins to compound, and you're seeing that renewal come in, that's when it really pays off pretty heavily. So, for example, and we just have it we just have the numbers over here. It's a little bit all over the place, but in this example, this agent in year 1, let's just say if they started AEP and went all the way through, 475 total submissions throughout the entirety of a calendar year. If only 40% of that is sticking, if only 40%, which is, if you're doing mainly telesales, I would say that's pretty accurate. 475 total submissions. Let's just do the math right here. 475 times 40%. You're looking at 190 of those policies sticking for the following year. With a renewal of $28.90 per policy, this is what your monthly income is looking like, $5,491. This is purely just based off of your residuals. This does not take into account any sort of upfront commission that you would be getting from your new sales or new business. So you can see with how not even a whole lot, because less than 200 clients on your book, like I meet so many people that have, close to 1,000 or over 1,000 people on their book of business. So now granted, this doesn't take them 2 years, 3 years to do it. To get 1,000 clients at renewing on your book of business, it takes quite a lot of time, and it takes quite a lot of effort to do. It's not just something that you'll achieve like that. But it goes to show you how quickly it can start to compound and how quickly you can build, a good renewal base coming in. If we look just at the renewals here, this person is earning $65,000 annually solely off of their renewals with less than 200 clients, which is extremely easy to do. And again, the retention rate is really low, 40%. Like, that is extremely low. But this is just assuming if an agent is mainly doing telesales. If you're doing mainly field business, yeah, I would hope your retention is a lot higher. If you're doing mainly field business, it should definitely be at a minimum 80% is what your retention should look like. But maybe the volume that you're doing isn't as high. So you got to see. Once you're at the point where you actually have your renewals coming in and you have a decent sized book, we just keep going on with the examples over here. If we have a book of business of 500 renewing clients, which may take you 3 years to achieve, 500 times 28.9, and you're looking close to $15,000 each and every single month. This times 12, you're giving yourself, essentially you're giving yourself a salary of $173,000 for the year. And again, this does not include any sort of upfront commission that you would be doing along the way. At that point, once you're getting that much each and every single month off of your renewals, more than likely you have, some sort of an admin to help out with the outreach. You're probably just working only the busy seasons, which is AEP and OEP. And you're just coasting throughout the rest of the year, maintaining your existing book. Maybe you're cross-selling them other products. Could be doing a whole lot of different things. But remember, this doesn't take into account the lead expense. This doesn't take into account chargebacks. So that's a lot of things that people got to factor in when they're coming into the industry. There is really good earning potential up front during the busy seasons. Like, for example, here, the annual enrollment period, this is a 7-week window where you can sign up a lot of people. I'm giving the example here that someone does 200 sales during AEP. And if you do 200 sales with the commission at the highest that it can be, which is $347, with a 70% effectuation rate, you're looking at close to $50,000 in a 7-week window. But the annual enrollment period takes place from October 15th through December 7th. And the way that Medicare works is that you do not get paid out on policies until they go into effect. So pretty much throughout the whole fourth quarter, because we're writing January 1st effectives, you're going the whole fourth quarter without seeing any sort of pay. Which, depending on what your financial situation is when you're first coming into the industry, that could limit your AEP for sure. So it all depends on a lot of different things. Ideally, coming in at AEP would be good if you can stomach waiting those 3 months, because the payout's going to be extremely high. And then you got January, February, and March, which is the open enrollment period, where there's a great window of opportunity to sell people because either they got placed onto a policy that they didn't want to, they realized the plan that they got switched onto isn't that great. And then you got people that just didn't make any plan changes during AEP, and they see the new changes and they're like, what's going on? Why are my copays this, and this? I need to switch policies. So there's a great window during the beginning of the year as well. And the commission's still fairly high also. Overall, I can do like another video going over the different structures that agencies typically have and what our own internal structures are. But generally, what I want people to get from this video is just seeing what the opportunity with Medicare is, and that really lies within the renewals. The upfront commission is great. You can definitely make some really good money, but the main attraction is the fact that I don't have to wake up each and every single day and start from scratch. A lot of these people I see online with life insurance, mainly. And even people in the private health insurance space, like, yeah, you can make a really high commission up front, and the high commission is great. And I think life insurance is great. I'm not knocking life insurance or people that sell private health insurance. It's a great opportunity for sure. But I see a lot of times people think that they're going to be making like 100K, 50K each and every single month. And some people probably do that, but a lot of the times you see these high numbers, and what it is that's just the annual premium that they're promoting. Like, I've sold X amount in annual premium or annualized premium. But the chargebacks, you get the full chargeback if the person cancels, and with life insurance specifically, the lifetime value of the client is not great. There's a huge amount of chargebacks. Two, majority of these people don't own the book of business, so they don't get anything for renewals. And yeah, you're pretty much just starting to scratch each and every single month. Whereas Medicare, you build yourself a foundation, and come like year 3, 4, 5, when your book of business is around 500, 700 clients, you essentially don't need to work. You just need to maintain your existing book of business, and you can quite literally live off of that. Remember, guys, in that same example that I went over, if someone has a book of business of 500 clients, which is extremely achievable, you're looking at close to $15,000 each and every single month. Multiply that by 12, $173,000 is your annual salary just off of your residuals. You don't have to go out, bust your ass, hop on the phones, outbound dial 100, 500 people every single day. This is just simply from maintaining your existing book of business, where 500 clients, guys, that's not a lot of people. It is a lot of people, but it's not something that's going to take you 5 to 7 years to do. It can happen in 3 to 4 years. So it's something that's extremely achievable in a fairly short amount of time when you look at it. And when you think about the opportunity, you're starting at zero, and within 3 to 4 years, you could potentially build yourself a $173,000 salary. And if you really want to run it up and just keep going from there, like I said, like, I've met a ton of people in the industry that have been doing this for a while that have a book of business of 1,000 people, sometimes even more. In the same example, I know people personally, a ton of them, that have a book of business of 1,000 plus, and this is what their monthly checks look like. Multiply that by 12, they're getting close to 350K a year just off of their renewals, guys. This is a extremely, extremely lucrative opportunity. And the products that we're selling people, like, we're not pushing anything onto them that they don't need. They need health insurance. They quite literally need health insurance. When people get enrolled into Medicare, which they automatically get enrolled into if they're 65 and if they've done their working quarters, they automatically get enrolled into Medicare. Once they get on Medicare, realistically, there's only two pathways. You can go on a Medicare supplement policy, or you can go on a Medicare Advantage plan. They quite literally need one of those two policies. So we're not pushing people onto stuff that they don't need. This is health insurance. This is stuff that they quite literally need. And a lot of the times, with the Medicare Advantage plan specifically, it's a $0 monthly premium product. Like, there are copays and stuff built into the policy, but generally speaking, it's a $0 monthly premium product. So they're not even paying anything additional for the policies that you're selling them, and you can get this huge return from it. So it's an extremely easy sale. It's not even a sale because it doesn't cost them anything. But yeah, that's why I think it's such a great opportunity. And this is what it looks like at the agent level. So imagine when you're at the position where you want to start running your agency, and you have overrides and stuff like that, and the agency renewals and everything starts to compound. That could be something that we talk about in another video. But yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for people, and I just wanted to highlight that here. If you guys have any questions or want to connect, I have my contact information in the link below. Yeah, appreciate you guys.